A very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome to this thematic session on specialty foods, customized nutrition for evolving dietary needs. I welcome you all. The specialty food sector is fast emerging as a vital part of India's modern nutrition ecosystem. It sits at the intersection of food, health, and science, offering solutions that go beyond basic nutrition to address evolving dietary needs across age groups and lifestyles. As awareness grows around preventive healthcare, chronic disease management, and personalized nutrition, demand for specialty foods is accelerating. Today, we will explore how these products, whether functional, therapeutic, or innovative, are shaping a future where nutrition is customized and accessible. This conversation could not be more timely. India is witnessing a sharp rise in non-communicable diseases as an aging population and the pressure of urban lifestyles. At the same time, consumers are seeking clean label and allergen-free products that they can trust. Specialty foods, as defined by FSSAI, includes food for special dietary use, such as lactose intolerance, diabetes, and protein allergy malnutrition, alongside food for medical purposes as well. Adding to this, nutraceuticals, probiotics, health supplements, and novel foods such as algae proteins or plant-based milk is also a part of this. And we see how innovation is driving the change. The challenge, however, lies in ensuring scientific validation, affordability, and clear regulations so that the specialty foods move from being niche products to mainstream evidence-based nutrition solutions for all. And for this, to guide us through the crucial themes, we are delighted to welcome our moderator, Mr. Rakesh K. Mishra, who is partner with Ernst & Young. It is also my privilege to introduce our distinguished panelists. We have with us Mr. Zakir Karim, Vice President, Functional Nutrition, Hindustan Unilever Limited, who will be speaking on innovation in special dietary food for targeted health and lifestyle needs. We have with us Dr. Jayant Mehta, the Managing Director of Amul, who will be speaking on unlocking assets and affordability of nutrition through superfood milk. We also have with us Ms. Meenakshi Singh, who is the Chief Scientist and will be speaking on regulatory framework and labeling standards for specialty foods in India. And lastly, we have with us Ms. Kimberly Kiruther, who is the Executive Director for Dairy Companies Association of New Zealand and will be speaking on the scientific basis of specialty foods. We are privileged to have such a rich panel of experts with us, and with that, I invite Mr. Mishra to take the session forward.
Good morning, everyone. I request our eminent panelists to come on the stage. So, very good morning to everyone. I'm sure this is the second day of the event and everybody would be enjoying participating over the sessions. There are a lot of knowledge coins which are there and I'm sure everybody must be busy collecting them. And I must thank everyone for taking time out from your busy schedule. My eminent panelists, they have taken their time out and then we'll be very happy to hear their insights into the interesting topic which it is. The team has already given a brief introduction of our panelists, so I don't want to kind of take further, but everyone has worked in their space and there are a lot of great things that can be picked up from the minds. So I would want to kind of come into the session quickly. Initially, I just checked, this is going to be more of a free-flowing conversation. And then primarily, there are a few areas that they would want to highlight. So I'll request, before we start the whole conversation and the topic, everybody knows the importance of specialty foods. And especially what we are looking at, the way they have become very, very relevant, especially looking at the emerging dietary needs and the kind of population that we have, the lifestyle needs that are coming up. I'm sure every company, startup and bodies are looking into the various innovative areas. So these are some of the topics that we wanted to discuss with our panelists. So I'll request to begin with Ms. Kimberly. If you can just tell us, I think the topic that we have primarily discussed was around innovation. No, my bad. Kimberly ma'am, basically we are talking about the scientific basis of the specialty foods. We are talking about the efficacy, bioavailability and the targeted outcomes, especially. How do you feel that they are more relevant with respect to context of India?
I think those factors in specialty foods are relevant globally for populations. We have we have populations in a trend globally where more people are seeking to actively manage their health needs through their diets, and there's a significant potential for us to unlock the functional properties of food to do so that people are benefiting from a high degree of bioavailability from nutrient-rich foods. I come from the dairy industry. I think Indian consumers have well known for a long time that milk is a superfood. It's a very rich food, and that nutrient by a high degree of bioavailability for the products. So there's a huge potential to unlock that functionality in new ways through advanced food processing to benefit people at all stages of life, and particularly the introduction mentioned healthy ageing. That's an area that the New Zealand industry as a supplier of specialty dairy ingredients is interested in. We've pioneered some innovative products. We were the first country to develop whey protein concentrate, and then have developed advanced manufacturing technologies for milk protein isolates and milk protein concentrates. And those products, through the bioavailability, allow fortification for people to be able to maintain their muscle mass as they age. So relevant to the Indian population, relevant to populations globally. And I think it is the scientific basis comes into it that all consumers need to have the ability to have trust and confidence when those claims are being made. So clinical trials are a key part of the process. Understanding the consumer needs is a key part of the process, and then creating a strong science-based dossier that sits behind those products as they come to market.
Thank you. So while the question was immediately directed to my neighbor, but I am also wanting to open this up. If there are any pointers that the other panelists can throw. Obviously, I'm looking at beyond the clinical, clinical and the scientific validation that really helps build trust. But looking at the India condition, if we are looking about how this can be, what are the best practices, global best practices that can be looked from Indian perspective? Happy to kind of take some pointers on that.
So in terms globally, I think the application as companies are working through development of new products, following good clinical laboratory practice guidelines in the development of their clinical trials is a very good practice. It's a universal set of guidelines that supports the safety of trial participants. It provides confidence in the outcomes from those trials. It drives the people undertaking the trials towards having really robust peer reviews of that science. So that's one good practice. Another one that we have in New Zealand is to enable and under our food regulatory frameworks to enable products to come to market and meet customer needs, consumer needs in a timely way. Our regulatory framework has a system of self-substantiation of the science by companies, and that sits with clear regulatory criteria for what those the science portfolios that are built up and maintained by companies to back up the claims are. But by not requiring market pre-clearance, it enables the products to, within a robust regulatory framework, come to market in a very timely way.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for those insights, Kimberly. There's another question which I just came to mind, that when it comes to the regulatory frameworks, and when we're talking about the global best practices, how do we do a marry over there? Because when it comes to India, it's a pretty regulated market, when it comes to dairy.
So So I've talked about the New Zealand regulatory framework, but one of the things that companies need to be aware of as they are developing new products is that every market is different in terms of the regulatory framework. It's also different in terms of the conditions that the consumers are working within as well, and you need to understand and respond to those.
Thank you. I would have a few questions for you, Mr. Zakir. Especially if you're looking about innovation and innovation in the special dietary foods. How do you see, especially the demands of India? How does it change? And what are the emerging trends that are coming in this segment?
Good morning, everyone. If we look at the macro level, I think the biggest need that is emerging is the need for protein. We are a protein deficient country, and that is probably the biggest emerging need. But if we go more specific, lifestyle health concern needs are also growing in India. Unfortunately, one of the biggest and fastest growing is on diabetes. We are the capital of diabetes in the world. 89 million adults in India have been diagnosed with diabetes type 2, and the likelihood is probably the prevalence is more than double of that number. That cohort needs protein, but also needs a high fiber, low carbs diet to help them manage those diabetes and those blood sugar spikes. If we go, for example, for women, women in India above 30, 9 out of 10 are likely to be vitamin D deficient. What's the concern there is vitamin D is a key vitamin to help the absorption of calcium into the bones. So even if there's a good provision of calcium, without the vitamin D, the absorption is deficient, which tends to then 1 out of 2 will likely have bone problems and bone density problems because of that deficiency, and therefore calcium, but also vitamin D, is a key need for women specifically in India overall. But for India, the women are definitely more propense. But the lifestyle needs start even at birth. The latest public data, 52% of pregnant women in India are anemic, and 18% of the babies are still born underweight. So we have a role to provide affordable products that can help with not only higher protein but also iron. DHA. DHA is it's amino acid that is tougher to get from a vegetarian diet, but it's key for health and brain development of babies, to really address those needs. And that's why, for example, HUL under the brand Horlicks, we have a vast range of clinically proven, and I think the part there is we need clinically proven products tested in India for Indians that address some of those key consumer needs.
Thank you. So these key consumer trends that are emerging, and obviously it is varying with the varying population, because the Indian population is also becoming more and more health conscious. How do we bring about innovation in this segment? Because innovation is a key requirement from this. How do you kind of, being the largest company in this segment, what are your kind of focuses on innovation in the special dietary needs segment?
So if we look at what are the biggest barriers for an adoption of a target health functional product, one is affordability, and in the end, if we want to massify, we need to make affordable products so that the highest number of households can afford. But if you look in terms of adoption, consumers do not want products that are seen as medical. They prefer products that are enjoyable choices. We are not a poppy country, a pill popping country. We believe that food is medicine. We are the country of Ayurvedic, and therefore we believe food is the best medicine. But for food, it needs to come taste. So, how to develop products that addresses the nutritional needs of the consumers without changing their habits, because habit changes are tough. Any habit change, so we need to arrange products that are familiar to them, but also they are tasty. And therefore, the key combination is how can R&D, consumer insights, and sensory innovation help to deliver those types of products. Because the sensory innovation is key to deliver products that are palatable. I'll give you an example. We're talking about diabetes. One of our insights is the biggest craving for a diabetic person is chocolate. Because when they are diagnosed, the thing everyone tells them is you need to cut sweets. But definitely probably is one of the things they are more fan of. Therefore, we develop Horlicks Diabetes chocolate, which is a non-added sugar with a dual fiber technology that helps deliver a clinically proven control of sugar for diabetics while delivering a great taste. Because when we spoke with the doctors, one of the key asks from them is, if you don't develop tasty products, the compliance won't be there. They'll try once and then they'll drop. And therefore, affordability and taste are the key drivers for innovation, for us to get higher adoption and continuity of those
HUL being the largest FMCG player, of course, there is a huge push on R&D and to drive innovation. And I'm sure there are many startups also coming in, and of course they're coming out with path-breaking activities. How do you ensure, being HUL, of course you are there, but ensure to bring the whole ecosystem together, especially the startups also? How do you kind of involve them into your processes? Is there a way that you have thought through?
So I think we realize that we believe that what is good for India is good for HUL. And therefore addressing those consumer needs are good for the country, also good for the company. And therefore this is a national problem. It's not a one company problem, it's a national problem. And so we as industry have the role to help the country address these needs. And so one thing we do is basically work in partnerships with startups, but also with universities, with institutes, to basically together as a consortium help develop products that are suitable. So I'll give you even one example. In our R&D center, we decided that we would join a federation of other companies and basically share high technology manufacturing tools so that everyone could use from those. So that in the end we chip in on a pool of resources that small companies and big companies can use to basically advance the technologies that the consumers are in need. It helps us to be faster, but also we know that the higher the number of the companies who join, the easier is the adoption for the whole population.
Perfect. And last point, sorry for being a little greedy on the questions. How do you bring about AI, and new age, the tech part, into innovation? Because there are a lot of things that happen that need to happen.
So AI is disrupting every technology, every industry. We are using technology, for example, to accelerate the development of our product. So today our R&D uses AI to accelerate the development. For example, with AI we can already pre-screen what are the product that one will be preferred by consumers, but also will succeed in clinical trials. Clinical trials are very costly and timely endeavor, and therefore using AI to increase the prediction of this molecule or this formulation can more likely succeed in a clinical trial is one of the paths we are using for accelerating our innovation pipeline by leveraging technology.
Thank you for such a detailed explanation. If I can take the liberty, Meenakshi, ma'am, I'll come to you. So you are somebody who has worked in the regulatory domain. So what are the key regulatory challenges that you see if somebody wants to bring innovation, especially in this segment in India?
Regulatory challenges, I think whenever innovation is involved, so innovation is involved, we are going to develop new products. So whenever new products is coming in the market, there are a lot of challenges, like people will not accept new technology comes like irradiation. So general people will not actually accept the product or technology unless they have the scientific basis how we are coming out with this kind of products. So for scientific basis, scientific data, any product, if innovative product, like somebody has developed the product with iron, with some other micronutrient, so that's how that iron is going to improve the just now we were talking about the bioavailability. Another thing, in what combination we take the food, that is also very important. People, it is already known that whenever we are consuming any iron rich product, we have to have something vitamin C. So bioavailability of the iron will increase. So that is also known. And another, I want to touch about the scientific basis, because FSSAI has complete infrastructure how to evolve, how to develop how to set the standards in the authority based on the product what they have. So for any claims, basically whenever we are claiming anything, scientific claims, they need the scientific basis, scientific data, as already said that by many panelists, that we should have the clinical data now. Whenever we talk about the dietary foods, dietary purpose food or medical, without clinical data, how this going to be approved or will be ready to sell in the market, license. It is, I think, very important to have the scientific basis. We should have the scientific data, and that scientific data is very, very important. Then only any innovation comes, any product can come into the market for the public use. So for clinical data, it is very, actually, as already said, that it is very expensive. Government as such, I think, not able to give or spend that much money. I think whenever companies are coming, so the partnership is very important. Collaborative approach is very, very important to come out any very important product in the market. So scientific basis is very important. Already authority has been established to set the standards for the human consumption on the scientific basis. So scientific basis is very important whenever we are having anything, and so for these standards we should have the data, substantial data, safety data, or maybe quality data whenever we talk about the nutrition.
Thank you, ma'am. So when it comes to this new innovative segment, labeling is also a particular challenge. How do we strike a balance between the labeling requirements, obviously bringing about the transparency, because the firms who innovate also want to kind of protect their IP. So how do we strike that specific balance between?
For labeling, I can say that already like some vertical standards are there where we talk about the about the product specific vertical standard, and whenever we talk about the horizontal standards, that is labeling standards comes under the horizontal, that is safety standards. So when we talk about the labeling is some general, for every product that is valid, like origin of the product, date of manufacturing, and some kind of logo. That general standards from labeling point of view, it is very important for any product. Like in BIS, this Bisleri bottle, it is written that crushed before the after the use, but awareness in the case of labeling is very, very important, because very educated people also generally don't read the label. That is, I think, very much drawback on in this area, labeling. So when we talk about the dietary uses or special medical purpose foods, special dietary use, you can take like one salt example, where we say that reduction of the blood pressure is based on the salt. So dietary, that is a dietary use products. So for that also, that is very much proven, but again anybody is developing the product with low salt, they should have the again data that by consuming this much product, how much reduction of the blood pressure is there. So that kind of data is required. And when we talk about and already like dietary, we say that NCD is increasing. So when NCD is increasing, we have to develop certain kind of products which are important for the diabetic purpose, or maybe some other disease. Like now even one micronutrient is becoming a magnesium is also very important, apart from the B12 and vitamin D. So again sleep related some products also are very important. So specific dietary basis, if we can change some of the take care of some of the NCDs, that is very important. And medical purpose, again we have to have like again dietary related, when we talk about, it is based on the RDA consumption. So that as per that we say that if the product should have more than 30% protein and 20% something carbohydrate, not more than 20% fat. Carbohydrate limits also are set by the ICMR. So whenever we are consuming some product, we are making some product, that guidelines of ICMR need to be followed for the RDA purpose. So for that purpose, even labeling, whenever we talk about the labeling, proper standards are there, and we say that these products should be kept away from the children, and then ingredients, and they all have to follow the additives as per the FSSAI defined 13 point, that appendix is there. So additive guidelines need to be followed. And whenever we talk about the medical purpose food, they are actually we have to have complete data for the disease reduction. Whenever we talk about this is useful for that disease, so disease reduction data based on that particular product is very important. Then only the product can come into the market. And the medical purpose food, actually it needs to be prescribed by the doctors. That is very important. Dietary, of course, as per the RDA they can take it. But again, some of the specific pattern are coming up. We say that brain related foods is also very important nowadays, and many companies have started making it. So and very, very specific requirement for such kind of foods. And somewhere like medical purpose, even additives and all these are not allowed at all. So these need to be taken care.
Yes, ma'am. So as government, I'm sure you have a very active role to play in fostering innovation. A question that how could government really accelerate the whole innovation in customized nutrition?
Government actually nowadays coming up with the that incubation centers also coming up, and many labs, CSIR labs, even other organizations also other than CSIR, they are setting up the incubation center. And this incubation center is again a very university also are setting up, where they give the space to the startup to initiate innovative product. So and there they have the mentors also, and so government is supporting very big way. BIREC from DBT, they are funding the incubation center. DST, Department of Science and Technology, also they are funding the incubation center, as well as Atal Innovation. From Niti Aayog also, this kind of innovation centers are being set up, and they promote lot of innovation through incubation centers, and whole ecosystem actually where universities and even CSR institutes and other industries, they all are going involved in developing the new products, and lot of innovative products are coming through these startups.
Thank you, ma'am. And just one last question. What role should regulator or industry bodies they should play in kind of harmonizing the labels and the other regulatory requirements in this segment?
Regulator has a very important role to play, because without regulators facilitation we are unable to set up any standards. So first of all, their requirement, we need to fulfill their requirement, and they have got food testing labs, and even set of lot of food testing lab, of course funding done by the Ministry of Food Processing, and so regulation has very important role to play. They have R&D scheme even, FSSAI. So through that, even they can actually set the standards. Whatever gap studies are there, gaps are there, they can take up those kind of products, those kind of studies through surveys. We can have the gap areas filled, and lot of actually capacity building, those kind of initiatives have been taken by the FSSAI. So without regulator, and then again they have through codex, we generally go any standard need to be set up, any requirement for the India is there, like spices has been started like for maybe 7-8 years back. So because India is a big producer of the spices and condiments, so because of that actually India has come out with the working group, and they have worked in this area, and codex meetings are happening in India itself. So our FSSAI is very active, and they are taking, but only what they need actually scientific. They say you have to have the scientific data if any special kind of products is coming up. But general thing, they have complete scientific panel. I think more than 22 scientific panel. They have scientific committee. They have across India. They have expert in that, and immediately they have, I think, almost every 3-4 months they have the meetings, and they generally help lots to standard setting.
Thank you. I'll come to Jen sir, you. You as head of Amul, you have already made dairy and dairy products accessible to almost every corner of India. How do you make this particular segment accessible and affordable for Aam Aadmi, which is, yeah.
Thank you so much. First of all, thanks to Ministry of Food Processing for having this very important session being discussed. And let me remind myself and all of us that this is not something which we are talking about somebody else. It is all about ourselves. And if all the 60-70 people sitting in this room, we all come from different regions, different geographies, different cultures. The weight is also ranging from maybe 40 to 80, and the age is between 18 to 25. So, agree? Yeah. We all want to be that, okay, right? So this is why this subject is very important for us, and we are not talking of people having diabetes, people having sleep problems, people giving birth to children or anemic children only, and so on and so forth. We are talking about each one of us and the 140 crore Indians, and obviously as a leader in the food processing industry, if we aspire to become, we are talking of how we solve problems of the world using the technology and tools that we have available. So that's where if we keep ourselves in the center of what we do, then of course the elite will be taken care of, the Aam Aadmi will be taken care of, those who are not well will be taken care of, and those who don't want to become sick will also be taken care of. And that's why this subject becomes very, very important. I'm not a researcher or an expert or a scientist, so I'll talk in the language of somebody who's been experiencing this and also is aware of a goodness of an ingredient that we handle in Amul, that is milk. And milk is a superfood, is a combination of all essential things what our body wants and what we need to do to perform well. The dairy technologists will define milk as milk having three major components. One is water, second is fat, third is solids not fat. But when you look at all the solid not fats, solids which are in milk which are not fat, there is a gold mine of ingredients available. You mentioned about protein and the importance of protein in the country. Each one of us require 1 gram of protein per kg of body weight, irrespective of the source which it comes from. But more importantly, if you have the protein, which is whey-based protein, the bioavailability and other things has been proven to be good, and it is good for everyone. And given that India is the largest producer of milk in the world, India contributes to 1/4 of the total milk production in the world. In next 10 years, will be 1/3 of the total milk in the world. We are using, and I'm using this case study of using the core components of milk. And how do we use the raw material which is so abundantly available in our country, which will continue to provide livelihood to more than 10 crore families in the country? How do we add value out of this simple ingredient called milk? Convert the elements and the chemistry of milk into making the bioavailability to product availability of the variety of components. So protein is one thing which we started working on it in the last few years back. We wanted to demystify the protein, and as he rightly mentioned, we should not be using any food as a supplement. Let it be a part of the daily lives. Okay, and that's why we got into high protein category of buttermilk or lassi, which is for the first time in the world, to the shakes and the super milk with almost 35 gram proteins in a 250 ml pack of liquid milk, to ice creams and a variety of other dairy products, be it yogurts, curds, and also obviously whey protein concentrates, and soon we'll be launching the whey protein isolates also. But this is what you rightly mentioned, democratization of a component or a product which India was importing and continues to import in a large way, and we have started becoming Atmanirbhar in this sector. We are blessed to be having large quantity of whey because Amul is the largest producer of cheese and paneer in the country. We have 30 lakh liters of whey. We used to pay money to drain it off, and today that whey gives us the protein, and whether it's being used for this, and what gets left behind also is equally valuable, and that's all the sum of components milk. You take the story further, and now you look at what are the bioactives, and then specifically what you require for your body. That list is very, very fantastic. Since we are talking of food processing business and how it grows, you can set up multiple industries out of every single bioactive of milk. So be it the immunoglobulins or the lactoferrins or the oligosaccharides or the GMPs or the alpha lactoalbumin or the beta lactoglobulin or even tricalcium phosphate, which man said about we need to improve the bioavailability of even digestion. And this is the richest source of, you need it, it is the best source of calcium bioavailability which our body requires. So we at Amul are obviously looking at each one of these things, but any entrepreneur, any startup, any business, any organization looks at each of these elements. The raw material is abundantly available, will continue to be available, the market is there, and you can really make a difference out of it. And then from the same milk or within the same milk, if you are able to add value, and probiotics is another way. Post-COVID, everyone is concerned about the immunity, and using the probiotic bacteria and adding it to a mass product. You mentioned about how Aam Aadmi can benefit out of it. Amul sells about 30 lakh liters of buttermilk charged every day at a price of 30 rupees a liter. That we converted into probiotic. So what you get in a small 65 ml bottle worth 20 rupees with so much of sugar, this better probiotics, or maybe let's say same probiotics available to the normal customer without charging a single rupee extra. So that's how you give health benefits to the common man of the country, knowingly or unknowingly. If I sell probiotics as a medicine, nobody will buy it. But you are consuming your chas with the good quality probiotics, obviously your health and immunity improves. So these are the way forward of actually converting regular product into value-added product for the consumers and simultaneously adding value to the producers.
Absolutely. I think it stemmed two questions in my mind. You actually preempted my question that how do you build about awareness about this segment, because it is very, very critical. You say their charge is something that you are giving, and in a subconscious mind people are taking it. But there are certain, health products that needs a lot of awareness. So how do you build about that? That is one question. And for sure, because in this segment, affordability is important aspect. it boils down to the supply chain side of it. What innovative practices we need to build in our supply chain to ensure the availability of the functional ingredients for this component is there? Sorry for two questions.
Okay. No, I think these are very, very important because any marketeer would be addressing these issues and you will be faced with that kind of a thing. So the basic thing is actually more important than selling the product is creating awareness. So if I sell a high protein buttermilk, if I sell a high protein milk, if I sell a high protein ice cream, we are selling products in isolation. As I mentioned earlier, the route we took or are taking actually, because it's still work in progress, is to make everyone aware of what is the importance of protein in your diet. And once I leave this question to your mind, do your maths. Did you have 1 gram of protein per kg of body weight yesterday? You will look at what you consumed yesterday. And if I said if I had a glass of milk, I would have got 6 grams of protein. If I had got a cup of curd, I would have got 5 grams of protein. If I had paneer in my dish yesterday, I would have got 10 grams of protein. If I had dal and roti and all that, I would have got 10 grams of protein. But then I asked myself, if my weight is 80 kgs, I need 70-75 grams. Did I fall short or I met the mark? And once I start realizing this, that I'm falling short of what I require, I look at alternate sources of protein. And then the brand comes with solutions. This is product costing 25 rupees, giving you 15 gram of protein. This is 10 gram protein, 15 gram protein, 20 gram protein, 25 gram protein, 35 gram protein. Take what you want, but try to achieve your maths. So, to a rational consumer, you don't need to be doing only an emotional pitching of what a brand is. Like if you apply this cosmetic and my skin becomes white, food is not like that. So there's where the education and awareness comes in. And that's what becomes a founding stone of the things. Similarly, probiotics is not new thing. All my chocobar ice cream which we are selling for the last 20 years is probiotic. We wanted to make it easily available across the length and breadth of the country. But if I had called it, and it's still mentioned on the front of the panel, as ma'am rightly said, nobody reads it very closely. We also did not want people to read it closely. Product is probiotic, but we are selling it as a delightful product like an ice cream. Okay, so these are the cues marketeers have to take. And similarly, people consume my buttermilk. Only few of them are aware that it is getting the goodness of probiotics. But we as a brand couldn't wait for the market to develop. Okay, we have also limitation of how much we can spend in brand building and awareness. So that's where making it mass through giving the right ingredient and spreading the education and awareness becomes a cost-effective way of marketing and reaching out to a large number of people without actually preaching that this is a pharma quality product.
Thank you. Sir.
I'd like to add, I think the key point, and I think you mentioned rightly, every company will have a certain limitation of investment, and this is where the ecosystem plays a role. When Amul promotes protein, when HUL promotes protein, everyone wins, because in the end the consumer wins, and then the brand, the consumer will choose whatever their preferences, their habits, but that education is not a one company job. It's an industry job, because the more the consumer are aware, the more the consumer are educated, the better the choices they will do, and therefore the better the society will improve in terms of dietary needs and lifestyle. And therefore then the labeling becomes easier, then people become aware and they do better choices. And I think that's why I think it's a good example that in the end, one would say, oh, why just one company? No, every company should focus, because everyone wins, and ultimately the consumer will win, which is what we want for the best of India.
Perfect. Now, so surely the awareness question is answered. I was looking for something on the supply chain side, because what really happens is you are fortunate to have your own captive supply chain that feeds into, that gives the all raw material. And I'm sure HUL also has a vast supply chain to address that. There are a lot of startups coming in. We need to make this affordable, right? We need to bring the cost for these products down. What kind of innovation is required to really start looking at bringing in the cheaper functional ingredients, say for example, or lower price imports? What's the best thing that the industry can do, especially leaders like?
Okay, as I mentioned about Amul, I can say about that the 30 lakh liters of whey, there was a certain price we had to pay to drain it off, or because otherwise waste stinks a lot. Okay, and obviously it's not good for the environment as well. So, but once you are able to use the technology to extract it, we are say at the moment providing in our high protein buttermilk 15 grams of protein in just 25 rupees. Now this is the best quality protein available at the most affordable prices. But we look at it ourselves, and if I look at my mathematics and the costings, the milk which we had, we made cheese out of it. So obviously we're making money out of cheese. What comes out whey was technically not so expensive, or I would say free for that matter. And if you are able to extract the 0.6% protein out of every liter of whey, obviously you are having a resource which is valuable, the raw material which is valuable, which fetches as high as 4,000 rupees a kg in the market. So when I'm selling that same whey protein concentrate, I'm only charging 2,000 rupees. And when I put it in, I don't make the powder out of it, and when I put it in a pack in the liquid form, which is the best form of conversion, with least of processing, I can sell it at a price which is so affordable for everyone. Okay, so you are solving the problem of nutrition with availability and also affordability, and more importantly, not using it as a supplement but using it as a part of the things. So there everyone has to look for opportunities within their own raw material. Milk is abundantly available in the country, so anybody who wants to buy 1,000 litre of milk or 1 lakh litre of milk or 10 lakh litres of milk, there is enough and more availability in the country. More milk is moving from loose to organized sector. So anyone who wants to invest in this raw material will continue to be abundantly available, and there will be no shortage of it, there will be no dependence on import for it. But the market, protein is a global currency. It will sell anywhere and everywhere in the world. So the appetite to take risk by investment also is taken care of, because the market opportunity is not just national but also global. So what I am suggesting and sharing with you is a perfect recipe for innovation, and which will support investments of any scale and make your business globally competitive.
Thank you. So I understand that I am blessed to have a larger knowledge audience also, who are equally good in their subject. So I will encourage a few questions that can come from the audience. We have near about 15 minutes, so possibly we can just take 5 questions.
So I'm Werner Steidle, coming from Germany, company Optima Consumer GmbH. We are working in the infant formula business, doing complete turnkey lines for filling and closing. So, and we heard a lot about the products you are doing and how you are doing, starting from the farmers. Yeah, and there is a complete change which you have to consider, and we are, let's say, with our machines, we are delivering, we are the last ones which are touching the powder. So very important here is the hygienic aspects in this field, because finally this product is for the babies, so you need to have good cleanability of the machines, etc., etc. So it's true, there is a big potential here in India. You have a lot of products, you have the cows. You can be very successful in the world doing, I think here in India it's bag-in-box systems what you are selling in infant formula. But around the world, if you go to Saudi Arabia, to China, etc., they are doing cans. So that means you also need to look to the kind of packaging you are using here. And if you look to the prices, you can gain in infant formula, for example, in this special business where I am at home, you can earn a lot of money doing the right things. And what I also think is you have to scale up the production. So if you are just a small farmer, it probably will not work. So you need to be together, because, for example, there was a project 10 years ago in France. They built up a complete production line together with Chinese, because in China there was a big problem in 2008 with the melamine scandal. There were dying 6 babies and 300,000 babies were in hospital, and all the customers in China, they refused their own products in China, and that's where Europe and also New Zealand were gaining a lot of products which they could sell then to China. So there is a huge opportunity for you in this business, doing the right things, and be careful with the product, because this is a very sensitive product. You need to gas flash them, you need to have rest oxygen value below 1%, etc. in this infant formula, and basically the same for these dietary needs. Yeah? It's expensive products, and there's a lot of chances for you in the future, I would say.
Thank you. Any questions?
James Joseph. We are a national award-winning startup from the green jackfruit flour, which is a unique fiber, and the most common use case scenario in the beverage form is adding to lassi. But the problem is shelf life. So can we get the lassi in powder form? Then there is a huge opportunity for us to blend it and even give it to the GLP-1 market worldwide. That's one thing asked from you. Second is, we have got this unique fiber which can prevent sugar absorption based on a fatty liver study which we did. And that's the answer for the chocolate. We could prevent sugar absorption. And last, to Dr. Meenakshi, you mentioned about the clinical trial and the government funding. So we, for our first seed fund, condition was us to file for the patent. And we got lucky to get the patent. But then subsequently, all the universities which asked for funding for clinical trials, so we did the diabetes clinical trial on our own, but then for the fatty liver study, if we have a patented product, they are not getting the funding. So how do we tackle the two? Clinical trials are expensive, startups cannot do it.
I want to say that whenever you do collaborative research or joint project, anything, joint product development, I think better to sign some kind of agreement where you can define your terms and conditions regarding IPR sharing and all. So that time if you define the, sharing your whatever terms and conditions, I think this problem can be sorted out. And what kind of sharing ratio or something like that. So I think better to go for agreement signing or MOU kind signing something or disclosure something. So that will, take care of such kind of problems in future. Because any innovation you are doing, definitely some patent, some IPR will be coming out of that. And so by this you can take out.
Thank you.
Yeah, point noted. We should look at considering adding jackfruit, the new fiber, as part of this study. You can share some details with you. I'll give my details after this.
Same. In the end, products always evolve. Today we have a clinically proven low GI product, but it's like the iPhone. Everything needs to evolve, and therefore, open to see the potentialities of your ingredient in our product.
Thank you.
Yeah, good afternoon, and I think it was a really good session to have all of you. My name is Dr. Vaibhav, and previously I was working with Abbott on their board, but now 1.5 years back I've started my own startup and making a scientific nutritional product. And what Zakir actually, what you told, that product actually meal replacement we already have made. That is my first product, low carb, optimum protein and high fiber. That's the first product that my company has put in, and we have already started that. But what I wanted to ask is, see, bigger companies, we know all the stuff is happening. So from the startup point of view, how the bigger companies like Amul and HUL, how you're supporting them, for example, in India? Because that will be very important. And your answer to your question on clinical studies. Clinical studies is actually, you will have to, from nutrition point of view, clinical, as FSSAI doesn't have any regulation per se on clinical trials. You have Schedule 1 for Indian drugs, which is what is followed actually. But for that, you will have to, when we design clinical studies, it is to be very specific. For example, a diabetic product, you need to understand HbA1c, or you are making it for a pre-diabetic, or you need to really design with the markers so that you can actually curtail the price. Yeah, so I mean, surely you might do, and then you can search out for a nice CROs plus probably a government college, which will give reputation even after you come out with the report. That will be a good stuff. Just because I was into clinical studies, that's why I thought I will answer your question. So that's what I just.
Yeah. So, as I said, I think to address a national issue, we need an ecosystem solution, and therefore HUL and other companies, we are open to work in partnership to solve those problems, because this is the opportunity where the success of one company is not the loss of the other. I give you a concrete example. The work that Amul is doing on increasing the availability of whey protein in India is beneficial for HUL. Amul is our #1 supplier of whey protein. India today is still importing whey protein. So the better Amul does on this area, the better is also for HUL. The same thing works for startups. Startups that can crack and develop specific ingredients or specific solutions that we can be incorporated into our products is beneficial for us and beneficial for the startups, because the key benefit of companies like HUL or Amul or others they can bring is they bring trust and they bring scale, and therefore partnering with companies like such enable the startups to really scale up and have a partner that can help them to really reach the masses, which likely will be very difficult on their own. It's possible, but it's a longer road.
Question to, sorry.
So I was just going to add on that partnership with companies and across the supply chain between ingredients and final product manufacturers. That is exactly the pathway that New Zealand companies have, and coming from a small country that we have followed to build success. So our companies understand our ingredients very well, they understand their manufacturing processes, invest in that innovation, and then they are partnering with global companies in this specialty foods space to work together and to support those clinical trials to come to market, to build that science for proven benefit as well.
Yeah, just one suggestion probably is most of the time we have seen that whey protein constituents like whey protein isolates and whey protein concentrates, sometimes we don't match up with the one that we get it from abroad. So how we are tackling that issue, because most of the time that is the reason the products when you change the source from the global to India, there's a big difference in the entire the product taste and sensory and all that. So can we do something about it where we can make it a little bit nearer to those standards what they have, so that it will be easier for us to get the whey protein from India rather than get it from outside.
Well, I will not comment on the quality of all the imported products being bought into the country, because it will be treated as something not good about competition. But it's again a source, it's something to do with marketing and influencing people and how to tell that what is made abroad is better than what you do back home. Okay, but we at Amul prefer to stick to basics. We have the best raw material, the best ingredients, the best processing technologies available, and obviously the products match the standards which the consumers want and the industry is capable to do. And obviously we are not sitting at a certain level, we keep improving things also. There is no lactose-free kind of a product available, so these innovations are easily possible for us, and that's why my product, we're adding more features like having prebiotic, probiotic, lactose-free, fat-free, sugar-free. I mean, trying to solve the problem of nutrition as exactly what the customer wants. Now that level of customization is not possible, and here we have a range of packaging and range of food options also available. So I will be having a high protein paratha also, as much as a high protein sandwich, to a high protein ready-to-eat food item or a meal replacer to many of the combinations which are available there. So again, we have to believe in what our technologists, the technology which is global technology, which can of course source, also make in India, okay, and obviously we know our cows give the best quality milk. So that way there cannot be anything which can go wrong. Only the perception need to change that anything which is expensive is better is a mindset which no brand, multinational or domestic, can change.
No, I agree with you, and thank you for your this thing, because that always has been in the mind many a times when we change the source and suddenly we pivot for sensory testing.
But trust me, we do everything before we put our products in the market, so we know exactly what you're telling.
No, I admire Amul.
Amul is, of course. And already some high protein slices also are in the market. McDonald's has launched actually. That is CSR, CFTRI has developed. So I want to just put this, everybody must be knowing that raw material quality itself is a challenge. Whether you take milk, whether you take any plant products, because whenever we change the source, even in India also, the change in the quality is there. So bioactives, when we talk about, so availability of the raw material, and again availability of the processable varieties is another area. I think we should have a lot of work to be done in that area. So quality standardization is another big area.
Thank you, audience, for these questions and insights. Oh.
Good afternoon. I am Dr. Vanitha Reddy from JSS University, Mysore. This is to Sir Jayan sir. Same as sir was telling about, Amul is the most trusted brand. And as a nutritionist, we face a lot of problems when the hospitalized patients are there. They are in need of high protein rich products, especially the people who are recovering from cancer conditions and all. So as we have many brands which are of, I can say international brands, which are very expensive. And I can say if Amul can take an initiative, it's the most trusted brand, and as in make in India, we can promote. So if they can enter into these high protein formulations, which are given as for enteral and parenteral nutrition subjects, it can be very much helpful if you can, because your main target is common population, I do understand sir, as you told. But at the same time, many common people are also facing these problems who has to overcome this malnutrition condition at the hospitalized patients. So I request if Amul can develop such products, especially if I can take the brand names, the Ensure, Adabot, Frisjubin. They are highly expensive, who cannot be afforded by a common person who is undergoing a treatment for cancer recovery patients. Or I can say even cardiovascular disease. They are all in need of malnutrition condition, who are longer period for enteral and parenteral nutrition. So I can just request, because Amul is a trusted brand and Make in India can be promoted. So, and it can be internationalized also. I just want to.
I think it's a very good point. I had a relative who was in a similar phase, and when I looked at his prescriptions, I saw similar these names, and yes, that's in fact, burns patient also. Protein is a very good thing for fast recovery. So obviously, the pharma applications are very large, and of course, the mass market is also equally bigger. But yeah, you are right. We need to be looking at these. Thank you.
And definitely, I will invite Amul to join the efforts. But while Amul is not developing this solution, I can tell you, for example, on Horlicks, we already have products that specially designed for clinical use. So, for example, tube fat. That in the end, as you know, some patients unfortunately cannot eat on their own, so they need to be tube fat. That provide an affordable solution, cheaper than, for example, the solutions, the alternatives you meant. But as I said, this is an industry effort. So the more players we have, in the end, it helps the overall ecosystem, and therefore it's a win-win solution for everyone. As I said, for example, we buy the whey from Amul. In the end, it's an whole ecosystem who benefits for it, and therefore, as I said, it's the beneficial of the society that in the end the consumer will benefit.
Thank you for these insightful answers and
You can take one question.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dr. Anjana, same from JSS University OT campus. So, as we are from the academia, we just wanted to have an opinion, to have a collaborative research from the companies. Like we do have the BSc honors and master students who wants to actually have a nutrition related, either a product development or a clinical trial. So, how open are the companies to have a collaborative effort from your end?
From Amul, I can answer yes. While we want to do trials for lactose-free products, sugar-free products, or protein-rich products, or any of the things, we'll be very happy to work with you at the institute. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And from Horlicks?
I can watch that university, we did the study at JSS.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Same. We believe in the ecosystem and partnerships. We already work with some academia, but definitely the more the merrier.
Thank you, sir.
I think we are through with the questions. Maybe okay. So feel free. This is really great. I think the day we have more sessions, feel free to move around and join some more sessions. And I must thank all the panelists for your time and such valuable insights. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mishra, for being our incredible moderator, and thank you to all our panelists for such enlightening insights. We have transferred the entire spectrum today, from innovation in functional and specialty dietary foods to the science of efficacy and bioavailability, to the frameworks that regulate the space, and finally to the affordability, awareness, and the access. The key message is clear. Specialty foods are no longer a luxury category, but an essential pillar of nutrition and health. With the scientific rigor, the regulatory clarity, and consumer insights, inclusive innovation, India can possibly position itself as a global hub for personalized and consumer-driven nutrition. And with that, I would like our moderator, Mr. Rakesh, to facilitate our esteemed panelists. From EY, who is going to facilitate the meeting as well. So with this, let's give one more round of applause to our esteemed speakers who took off.